Okay, so back to this issue of control. It seems prevalent in quite a number of churches that the body of Christ isn't, we know that the body of Christ is blessed with tons of talents, gifts that are supposed to be for the edification of the body. But it seems we have a form of, what I call it, autocracy, where I would believe that as Christians, we should be led by the Spirit to pick, to work with people. Because I've seen instances like, in the Bible where we have Bezalel and Aholiab. We've seen instances where God, gave people gifts for the work. But it seems that what we have in church is that people are not really trusted per se. And then even when they are trusted, they are not giving room for expression. So there's somebody in media, somebody in music, somebody in ushering department. It seems the pastor, or let's call him like you call them the head honcho, doesn't give these people room to express the giftings that God has placed in them. I understand the place of balance, where you need to check people before they go overboard. But why is it that it seems that leaders, I think it's fear. Why do they have this fear of letting people do what they have been blessed to do? And please help me draw it to yourself.
Here's the thing. Everyone needs to feel significant. Everyone needs to have some self-worth. If we don't draw that sense of significance or self-worth from God himself, we would need to draw it from the people around us.
True.
And to do that, you manipulate and you control. So whenever you find a controlling person, the person is not feeling significant in his relationship with God.
Wow.
And that is why he has to control and manipulate the people that are around him. So what happens in church is you do need to give people an opportunity to express themselves, and they will make mistakes. So I have sat in church when I've asked one of our young pastors, 30-year-old pastor, to preach. I didn't ask him to preach because I was not going to be around. I asked him to preach because I want to be there. And then when he's done preaching, he would have made some mistakes. He would have done some things very well.
Yes.
Now, I don't point out the things he did, the mistakes to him immediately after the service. I will give him 2 or 3 days and say, no, there's a way you could have done this a little better, or, So that way, he's still confident
in himself, yes. So you're not breaking him down to say, haven't you heard me preach? Come on, boy, you've been part of this service, for crying out loud.
I don't expect him to preach like me. You see, I maybe when I stand behind the pulpit, I do not move all over the place. I don't shout. I just deliver, because I think that's who I am.
It's your person.
Yeah. So a lot of people want to be like the person that they
want to be like
their icon. And so they become somebody else. You have to be yourself. Control and manipulation really is a very big problem, not just in the church. Jesus was the very first ever servant leader. And he declared to all these people, he said, I didn't come to be ministered unto, I came to minister. I came to serve. And before him, the Romans came, they ruled. The Greeks came, they ruled. Everybody was a ruler. And so servant leadership is a whole new concept. To be a servant leader, you recognize that you're there to serve the people. And that changes your whole attitude. You know you're a servant, but you are also serving from a position of leadership. So I think that we need to understand that concept, not just in the church, in the whole of our society, even in government.
And speaking about service, it brings me to another key point, which it's troubled me for ages. It's the issue of access. Now, I remember I came to Guiding Lights Assembly, to minister, and I didn't exactly even, I didn't get to meet with you that day. It was when we were having the dinner and, I met with you and introduced myself. We seem to have a society in church where it seems the pastor is like all the way here and congregation is like all the way down here. And some people have said, oh, some people will abuse access, they would be unruly. But I always think to myself, the yardstick, like you said, is Christ. So when a pastor is in leadership, he's still serving. So why does he stop people from, I know churches where you have, it almost takes 6 months to meet with the man of God. Why is it with you, for example? I always have to tell myself that, this is Pastor Wale. It feels uncanny, to come. You came, for example, you came a few minutes late and you were apologizing. I'm not used to that kind of system where the man of God apologizes. I apologize on his behalf to myself. So why is it that this is prevalent within the church?
Let me first of all apologize on behalf of the pastors that don't give easy access, because I understand, having been in a position where people have access to you, I understand that people can tend to abuse that access or wear you out or wear you down. However, a pastor is a people person.
Or sir, would you say a pastor should be a people person?
Well, that's how God intended it to be. One of the things I found very interesting when I visited Israel was that you would see the shepherd and all his sheep around him. They would stray a certain distance, but if the guy spoke, they would come. Every sheep had access to the shepherd, okay, and the shepherd was watching over each and every one of them. I just don't see how you can do your work as a pastor if you don't know your sheep. And the Bible said, my sheep know me when I call. So they know my voice, they've heard it, they continue to hear it. So I think access is important, but I do understand when people, some of our very senior ministers, I don't need to mention any names, they have huge numbers of people that want to see them, not just within their ministry, but from outside their ministry. And it's almost impossible. I remember one man of God, if I call, they could say, look, there's no slot this month. Because if the guy is not seeing people in his office, he's traveling, he's got an international ministry. So I understand the problems. The other side to the issue is this, that we need to be like Jesus. I don't think anybody, is even prepared to go to a centurion's home.
Yes, yes.
So we have a job to do. For me, I've come to the place where I have to get more people involved. So there are certain things that I know you don't need to see me for. You can see another pastor who will be able to do just as much, if not more, than I would be able to do. So why don't you just see that person? And if that person feels it's a matter that needs my attention, then they'll bring it to my attention. For instance, recently, one of our members is just releasing a film, and he wants it viewed in the church. And there's no way I can make it open for the church, a church screening, without knowing what the film is all about. So now I don't have the time to watch a 90-minute movie. So I said, why don't you just take it to another pastor? And I will depend on that pastor's view. On his judgment of the film. And so the pastor has watched it, and he's told me, Pastor, it's okay, we can do it. In fact, it will be an asset for us to show this film. So access is important, but you've got to find different people, find different ways of being able to work out how access can work.
Interesting.